Welcome to the channel. If you are new here, this is where we break down real crime stories, unsolved mysteries, and major cases with accuracy, respect, and attention to the facts. Today, we are talking about the hijacker who vanished with $200,000. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with someone who enjoys real crime mysteries, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss the next case breakdown. Viewer discretion is advised. This video discusses a real aircraft hijacking and criminal investigation. The details are presented in a respectful, non-graphic documentary style. On the afternoon of November 24, 1971, a man walked up to the Northwest Orient Airlines counter in Portland, Oregon. He gave his name as Dan Cooper. He bought a one-way ticket to Seattle. At first, nothing about him seemed extraordinary. He was quiet. He wore a business suit, a white shirt, and a dark tie. He looked like an ordinary middle-aged passenger preparing for a short flight. But within hours, that man would become one of the most famous unidentified criminals in American history. Not as Dan Cooper, but as D.B. Cooper. That name, strangely enough, came from a media mistake. The hijacker had used the name Dan Cooper, but the name D.B. Cooper spread through reporting and became the legend people still remember today. And more than 50 years later, his true identity remains unknown. The flight was Northwest Orient Flight 305, traveling from Portland to Seattle. It was supposed to be a short trip. But after takeoff, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant. He indicated that he had a bomb and demanded money and parachutes. The demand was clear: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes. When the plane landed in Seattle, Cooper exchanged the passengers for the ransom money and parachutes. The passengers were released. Several crew members remained on board. Then the plane took off again into the night. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, Nevada, Cooper disappeared. He jumped from the back of the plane with the ransom money. The aircraft landed safely. Cooper was gone. No arrest, no confirmed identity, no final answer. That is the core of the D.B. Cooper mystery. A man boards a plane under an alias, demands ransom, releases the passengers, vanishes into the dark, and leaves behind one of the most haunting open questions in crime history. Who was he, and what happened after he jumped? The Federal Bureau of Investigation called the case NORJAC, short for Northwest Hijacking. It became one of the longest and most exhausting investigations in FBI history. Agents interviewed witnesses. They reviewed leads from across the country. They studied evidence from the aircraft. They considered hundreds of suspects. But the case never reached a courtroom conclusion. By the 5-year anniversary of the hijacking, the FBI had already considered more than 800 suspects. Over the decades, even more names and theories would appear. Some people believed Cooper was an experienced parachutist. Others believed he was not. Some thought he survived and disappeared into a new life. Others believed the jump was too dangerous and that he died in the wilderness. The truth is, no one knows for sure. The conditions that night were dangerous. The area below was dark, rugged, and heavily wooded. The weather was poor. The jump itself was extremely risky. That is one reason many investigators believed Cooper may not have survived. But belief is not proof, and the absence of a body, the absence of a full ransom recovery, and the absence of a confirmed identity kept the mystery alive. Then, in 1980, the case took one of its strangest turns. A young boy found a bundle of deteriorated $20 bills along the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington. The money matched serial numbers from the ransom. The discovery should have answered questions. Instead, it created more. How did the money get there? Had Cooper dropped it? Had it washed there? Had someone placed it there later? Why was only a small portion found? And where was the rest? The recovered money became one of the most important physical pieces of evidence in the case. It proved that at least some of the ransom had ended up along the river, but it did not prove who Cooper was, whether he survived, or where the rest of the money went. That is what makes this case so frustrating. Every clue seems to open another door instead of closing one. Cooper also left behind items on the plane, including a black clip-on tie and tie clip. Over the years, those items became part of the mystery. Investigators and researchers studied what they could, hoping tiny details might point toward his background, occupation, or identity. But again, nothing produced a final answer. That is the pattern of this case. A clue appears, a theory grows, a suspect is discussed, then certainty disappears. One name often mentioned in connection with the case is Richard Floyd McCoy. He carried out a similar airplane hijacking months after Cooper's flight. Because of the similarities, many people wondered whether McCoy could have been Cooper. But the FBI later ruled McCoy out, saying he did not match key witness descriptions and for other reasons. That is important because the D.B. Cooper case has attracted countless theories. Some sound convincing at first, some are based on family stories, some are built from coincidences. Some come from people who believe they have finally solved the mystery. But a good theory is not the same as proof, and in criminal investigations, proof matters. The FBI did not need a story that sounded interesting. It needed evidence strong enough to identify the hijacker and prove responsibility. That evidence never arrived. In 2016, after decades of investigation, the FBI announced it would no longer actively investigate the D.B. Cooper case. The agency said it had reviewed credible leads, collected evidence, interviewed witnesses, and applied new investigative techniques, but no tip had produced definitive identification. Still, the FBI did not say the mystery was solved. It simply redirected resources to other priorities. The agency also said that if specific physical evidence connected to the parachutes or ransom money appeared, people should contact the FBI. That means the case is not solved. It is just no longer being actively pursued in the same way. And that is part of why the legend keeps growing. D.B. Cooper is not remembered only because of what he did. He is remembered because of what no one can answer. Most crime stories eventually end. Someone is arrested. Someone is convicted. A body is found. Money is recovered. A confession is made. But this story does not have that kind of ending. Instead, it has a man in a suit, a short flight, a ransom demand, a jump into the night, a bundle of cash found years later, and silence. That silence is what keeps people coming back. Was Cooper a desperate man? Was he a criminal with a plan? Was he someone with aviation knowledge? Was he lucky? Was he doomed the moment he jumped? Or did he somehow survive and live the rest of his life under another name? The honest answer is that we do not know. And sometimes saying we do not know is more responsible than forcing a dramatic conclusion. That is especially true in a case like this, where so many theories have surrounded real people and real families. Accusing someone without proof can do harm. Turning speculation into fact can mislead viewers. So the safest truth is the one supported by the record. A man calling himself Dan Cooper hijacked Northwest Orient Flight 305 in 1971. He demanded $200,000 and 4 parachutes. He released the passengers in Seattle. He disappeared after jumping from the plane. Some ransom money was found in 1980. The FBI investigated for decades and did not definitively identify him. And to this day, the world still does not know who D.B. Cooper really was. That is why this case remains one of the greatest unsolved crime mysteries in American history. Not because the crime should be admired. It should not. Aircraft hijacking is dangerous. It terrified real people. It put passengers and crew in fear. It created a massive investigation and changed aviation security forever. But the mystery remains powerful because it sits in that strange space between fact and legend. There is enough evidence to know what happened, but not enough to know who he was. There is enough mystery to keep people searching, but not enough proof to end the story. More than 50 years later, D.B. Cooper is still a question mark, a name created by mistake, a face from a sketch, a shadow in a suit. And somewhere in the middle of all the theories is the truth. Maybe it died in the wilderness. Maybe it lived under a different name. Maybe it is still waiting inside an old box, a forgotten memory, or a piece of evidence no one has recognized yet. For now, the answer remains hidden. and the man who called himself Dan Cooper remains gone. Which unsolved crime mystery should we cover next? Drop your answer in the comments. If you found this breakdown helpful, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with someone who enjoys real crime mysteries, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss the next case.